Hi, everyone. We'll get started in just a moment. We'll allow people a minute to get joined. So we can either sit in awkward silence or Ed and Mike can tell jokes.
We should start with Mike's background.
Yeah.
What about
That
the background?
What background? That
quite
is
Mark Kourany.
awesome. If only I dressed that nicely.
I was debating whether I put on a full black suit today just to really go with the Lex Luthor, but it's summer. No one has time for that.
It's extremely creative. You did an amazing job. People will be going to hit the YouTube channel just to see your background.
Very impressed, Mike.
Our marketing team will cringe that nothing is properly lined up, but it's what they get.
They'll probably cringe for a lot more reasons than that, but you go with it.
Well, by this point, they are immune to most of the things that would embarrass a marketing department. They have to deal with me on a more regular basis.
Yep. So, all right, everyone. So, creativity brought to you by Mike Metz today. Welcome, everyone, to the show. Before we get started, just want to send out our thoughts and prayers to those who have been devastated in the storms in Texas, and it's really to anyone who is struggling with natural disaster because it seems as though we go from California wildfires, Idaho wildfires, to floods to tornadoes. So really hope everyone stays safe. And if there's anything that we can do to assist you, please let us know. So we will go on with the show. So welcome to the SIP, where we serve up bold ideas, real talk, and caffeinated collaboration. Sometimes there's more than caffeine in that mug. It's less of a broadcast and more of a brainstorm over coffee. We believe that when mortgage professionals get together, big challenges turn into shared wins. And today's episode is the perfect example. This episode is brought to you and sponsored by Candor, an AI-powered underwriting built for today's modern mortgage industry, and proud TMC partner. Joining us from Candor is Ed Kourany, the Chief Business Officer. And with him, who needs no introduction, Mike Metz, Chief Operating Officer of VIP Mortgage. I'm happy to see that Mike finally has a title on his LinkedIn profile because for many years he did not. We're thrilled to have both of you and join the show. And Mike, we can't go without recognizing your background now that most that will be attending the show have joined in. If your screen isn't large enough, Mike is pointing out that he can't be confused with Lex Luthor. Is that how you say his name?
Lex Luthor, yeah.
Luthor? All right. I can't see it. It's like these glasses aren't strong enough. But so Ed, we're going to kick things off with you. So please, the reason that we're here today is to learn about product and how you collaborate with our members. So what are the core problems that Candor is solving and where does it fit into the mortgage process?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you for the opening and special tribute to the folks in Texas. We all feel for them and North Carolina and the others that have been devastated by the storms. I guess to talk about Candor, at its core, Candor solves that one most persistent challenge in mortgage lending, which is the complexity, the variability, and the cost of underwriting. And Candor fits squarely into the heart of that process for performing the credit risk assessment and loan decisioning. So just to kind of, I could go on and on, but to summarize, it's not a document reader, it's not a rules engine, it's a true expert AI system that executes complex decision logic with consistency, speed, and transparency. So that's a mouthful.
Yeah, it is. And we'll dive into those pieces. But as far as I have a little bit of an advantage from my relationship with Cantor, but as far as where it fits in the mortgage process, we're going to talk about the product. And it really starts in the very beginning in the decision making and pre-approval process and can follow the loan all the way through the closing process. And Who knows? Ed might have some surprises for us coming up when he shares his roadmap. But Mike, bringing it over to your world, what's your role at VIP and what led you to integrate Candor into your operations?
So I work as our COO, and for us at VIP, customer service is always number one, of course, and I'm sure that's very unique in the mortgage industry. But doing that in a scalable sense is important, and doing that in a way that makes sure we're still going to be around a year from now is also very important. And that comes from making good decisions and being able to do so quickly so that you can both get that customer service and do so in a customer service friendly timeline. And that's where we're always looking for solutions. There are some very good solutions out there that are very easy to implement. And then there are some very big solutions that can move that needle in a very big way. And that's where, when we were doing our investigation about what could try to hit those, Candor popped up. And they have impressed me from the beginning about, there are some times where you do demos and you're like, all right, well, you guys are building something. And then you do Candor and you're like, whoa, you've built it, it's already there. And that's where we've been very happy with Candor, is it does what it promises.
Awesome. And I know that the hot button topic that I have heard throughout the industry is implementation and change management. And in a recent member survey, the top priority was deploying technology that either reduced origination cost or elevated the customer experience, which Mike talked about. Ed, how does Candor hit both of these targets, efficiency and customer satisfaction?
Yeah, Jody, that's a great question. Because frankly, those two are often viewed as a trade-off. You usually get one, but not the other. And we actually believe Candor can enable both. I want to start with the borrower experience, or the consumer satisfaction, so to speak, because that is really the most important thing at the front end of this process. And so for the borrower experience, Candor actually helps lenders issue accurate, confident pre-approvals in minutes, not days. And what we're seeing in today's market is more and more lenders are looking at how do they fully automate the pre-approval process. So not needing an underwriter to review a file, actually even limiting the amount of work that a processor has to perform to actually get a full pre-approval, full credit approval out the door, which is pretty amazing. So clarity, speed for trust, improves conversion, no more ping-ponging documents back and forth with the borrower, just a much better experience for the borrower. On the efficiency side, that's really the core, and frankly, where Candor cut its teeth back in 2019 when they launched the product. But it's shortening loan cycle time by at least 10 days. It's increasing underwriter productivity by 3 to 4x, and frankly, reducing the overall repurchase risk, not only because the technology is based on the guidelines, but also because it's fully auditable. Every condition logic is fully auditable. And to go a step further, Candor actually provides a repurchase defense. So should there be a buyback, we stand behind the technology with a warranty, and we stand behind the decisions with the support needed to successfully defend any buyback that may occur. And I'm proud to say we've been challenged 12 times since 2019, and all 12 we've successfully defended. So efficiency, there's a number of areas across operations that it hits.
Yeah, that's great. Definitely extremely efficient. And from the customer experience side, we've heard from years, it's like there's an expectation in customers that they don't like being asked for things that are not needed. And what they like even less is being asked for things more than once.
Yeah.
So the more that we can allow them to control the process and tell them specifically what they are going to need in the transaction, and not have to provide just random documentation. They actually get the true conditions that are going to be on the loan throughout the life cycle of that origination. Mike, how has VIP leveraged Candor to drive down costs while improving the experience of both the borrower and the loan officer? I always think, as when you're running an IMB, your loan officer is your customer and the borrower is the loan officer's customer, but really they are all your customers. So what's your ROI?
So I think the biggest thing for us right now with Candor, and I think one of the genius things that Candor did, was their pre-qual tool. And if you're unfamiliar with it, it allows you to run things on the upfront side and get actual underwriting intelligence on the documents that are actually in your file on the upfront side in a very quick and easy referenceable manner. And to me, that's the big ROI right now, is the cost of processing a loan continues to increase, and you can work on decreasing that. And of course, this has use cases for that as well. But to answer your specific question, is if you can stop spending money on that file up front when you quickly realize this isn't a file, I can't do a loan for Ed because Ed's got a troubled history. Being able to get him that answer right away is huge. And that's been the big win for our salespeople with the tool is, we mentioned Texas earlier in this call where, Texas has some very different populations and very different markets, and it can be very difficult for one originator to be able to handle all types of business. We're all human. So if you have an option to be able to talk to someone up front and get actionable intelligence of, can we do this up front? That's of huge value. And from the strict ROI, if we're not spending money on the various verifications and the time processing that file, because one person up front can click a button and find out, can I do this file? Now you can do some real cost-effective methods for doing the client experience and the loan application. I think the other huge win for it as well is, you mentioned earlier, Jody, clients don't love having to provide documents they don't need, but they also don't love providing documents round after round after round. And when JD Power has done surveys on the customer experience in the mortgage industry, that's one of their top 3 findings every time. So if you can get one comprehensive result up front, that saves you from having one of those cardinal sins and getting that client for life.
Yeah, and Ed mentioned working on the loans, like not having people work on the loans. And I've heard from lenders, if they can get to 25% credit pull conversion to funded loan, they're happy with that number. So there are a significant number of loans that we don't want to spend time on. We want to spend time on the loans that we can make to drive greater efficiency. So another area of opportunity that Candor provides our clients. Ed, Candor's doing something right. You've attracted a couple of the top 10 lenders in the industry. What has led to the success of Candor? And is it only for the large IMBs?
Yeah, another great question. I think 2 things really stand out to me. One, the reason why we're attracting the interest is because of the results and the credibility. We've now underwritten 3 million plus loans and have had 0 repurchases. And there's an economic ROI, the one Michael mentioned, from the upfront origination all the way through processing and underwriting to even on the QC side as far as improving it. So lower labor costs, faster turn times, better loan quality. But no, Candor's not just for large IMBs. We've really earned the trust of some of the bigger names in the industry, but we're also working with regional mid-sized lenders who are using Candor at scale more profitably. In fact, I would argue that it's the smaller lenders that are able to move faster and be more nimble in their adoption of Candor, how they change their internal processes to really benefit from the capability. So, whether they're running lean or planning for growth, Candor actually will level the playing field. And you didn't hear it from me, but I think if we look at the value that lenders are getting from the smaller lenders are doing a much better job of really optimizing for the true benefit of what Candor can provide.
Yeah, one of the things that
Amen.
we've heard through the mortgage collaborative is that this, expand and contract your labor force and times that, it's boom or bust, and it's more felt by those smaller organizations, and Candor gives them the opportunity to really level out with what their workforce is, and being
Absolutely.
able to absorb that.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
we call this a hot take, but I will offer the hot take that I think Candor is actually even better for some of the smaller originators, and that right now you see some of the very large companies offering basically instant approvals out there right now. And whether they're actually doing so or not, it's one of those cases where perception makes reality. And even if they're not really doing it, they're marketing that they're doing it. So now you get to sell against that. So now if you have a tool that lets you actually do so as a smaller lender, but not having the underwriting budget of a $1 billion company, I think candor comes in really handy for the smaller lenders.
Yeah, that was a hot sip of coffee right there, Mike. Thank you for that. Thank you for that
I'm so
tidbit.
glad.
Mike, feeling as though tech providers are partners and integration into your ethos is vital in trying to ignite change. What has been your experience in your partnership with Candor?
Well, I know Ed's tennis game, and Ed knows far more about my life than most vendors do. So there's a hint. I almost got Ed to spit coffee on that one.
Thank you,
There's a
Mike.
real hot stake. So, it is a very collaborative effort with every vendor to do a successful implementation. And hopefully just the product and the process in itself makes that easy. And I think Candor is good about talking through those challenges. They've been through this. This isn't the first time that they've worked with a lender, so they know the hurdles you're likely to run into and can help you in navigating some of those waters. But they actually have real people that care, and a lot of those people have been with the company for more than a hot minute. So they know their systems, they know their people inside and out, and they are available. So when I have a call and I need help with, Ed, I'm pretty sure I know what our contract terms are, but can you help me with what this is? Ed's available to spell it out. Or if I need Dougie Doug to help me on the Candor side with some of the processes, he can walk me through. He does respond to Dougie Doug, in case anyone on the line is
He's
curious.
probably swearing at you right now.
Dougie Doug
Surely.
loves it. And I mean, it's real humans. So it's a company that's trying to put more AI to help give some sanity to our industry, but it is humans behind that AI.
Yeah. Do you know Dougie Doug's handicap?
It is single digits, and I will never go on a golf course with him.
It
I'll
starts
never
with
go
a
on a golf
plus.
course, but
It
Well, only
starts
if
with a
you're playing, if
plus.
you need him in a scramble.
Yeah.
Make sure anybody out there scrambling in the mortgage industry and need a good golfer, hit up Dougie Doug of Candor, and he'll love that Mike started that name for him. Even the most sophisticated tech stacks won't move the needle if the industry is resistant to adoption or teams are resistant to adoption. And it seems to be like the age-old cycle that we go through. Ed, you have a significant amount of experience being, you worked with a lot of clients since 2019 who have fought that uphill resistance. What is Candor doing to help lenders overcome the resistance and drive real change in the industry?
Yeah. Well, I think it all starts with proof and not just promises. And it's also about people. One thing about Candor is just about every person here came from the industry, whether they're a recovering processor or underwriter. The teams definitely were from the industry, so we know the challenges the industry faces, and that is then fed into everything we do. So we're delivering measurable wins, and it's not just because our AI recommends it, it makes decisions, but our teams also work hand in hand from the ground up with each lender to customize how they're trained, how they adopt, and how they best utilize the product. And change management is something we take very seriously, and we don't throw the keys over the wall. As I guess I'm going to start calling them Dougie Doug and the client success team, they're deeply engaged from the implementation all the way through rollout. And frankly, we tailor training, offer pilot flexibility, and actually embed to the extent we're allowed in the lender's operations, our team during launch. So that best practices and it's a hand-on partnership. So we're never just throwing things over the wall, but we really are there to help overcome skepticism and accelerate adoption. Mike and his team have been a perfect example. It's been a very good collaboration. We don't know everything. We don't know your processes, but we listen and we've seen, hundreds of implementations to know what may or may not work better and provide that as input to help create the best outcomes for each lender.
Yeah. And, leading a large IMB, Mike, how have you approached implementation adoption with Candor's tools across your teams?
so when we've done it, we have had the most success with opening it up as a opt-in and starting off with the branches that really are looking for that use case of Candor. And getting that buy-in so you have the inner cheerleaders. I think the biggest topic of conversation to have with people and Candor specifically is, are these computers coming to replace my job? And I imagine a lot of those same conversations were had when DU and LP came out, and it's like, you know what, we're still here, and they figure out like, oh, Candor doesn't even try to completely replace the job. It is there to look at the small details you're likely to overlook. So that's the way we implement it, is with some of the branches that were really big on this use case, the ones that want to be able to do not just pre-quals, but actual full pre-approvals or full approvals on day one, because they're fanatic about customer service, or working with builders where they've got people on the actual builder lots and trying to make sure they have ironclad approvals, because builders do not care that you forgot to check something on income. So we had those groups do the initial round on that pre-qual, and then be able to get their opinions on it. And the responses were, everyone should be using this, including that LO. And it's like, okay, great. That starts to spread and then get some of that in-house recruiting, I'd say, towards the tool. So it's not something being forced. Because anytime something's forced in change management, of course, people are going to be resistant to it. But if they see the neighbor doing it and they're like, oh, well, they're having really good success with that, now they're naturally going to actually show up to the training session and ask questions.
Awesome. Mike, we're going to stick with you as we look ahead. So, given how deeply you know Candor's capabilities, if you could ask for one enhancement or feature that you believe that you would like to see delivered before the end of 2025, what would it be?
An upfront income calculator that's done in 10 minutes.
All right. I think that I've heard this before, and I bet that Eric is gritting his teeth that I even asked the question. But Ed, any chance you can grant this wish?
You know what? The magic wand is out, and or the genie in the bottle's escaped. So that is, I'm here to finally announce we will be introducing our standalone income decisioning technology. The expectation is in under 5 minutes to be able to, again, without an ERLA, if you want, to be able to upload W-2s, pay stubs, bank statements, and be able to have your calculations in under 5 minutes. So as near real time as we can get with technology as it exists today. Um, what's nice is as we look at 2025, this is a really big year for us. A couple things worth noting is, the technology we built the system on and back in that 2019, we've been replatforming to stay current with technology. What it's also allowing us to move faster in 2025 than we have been able to. And so what's coming is our Freddie and Fannie rep and warrant and direct integration. In fact, we'll be launching AIM within the next, call it 10 days. Fannie's following shortly after. Multi-borrower and multi-1003 support for up to 6 borrowers, also forthcoming in Q3. Simple things like linking source docs to conditions, also Q3. I think though the biggest piece, I mentioned the standalone income. I think that'll be a game changer just from the speed at which you can do processing. Then it'll flow all the way through. So your rep and warrant, not to mention with Freddie and Fannie, you only get rep and warrant on calculations. Candor's current warranty will also warrant the data capture. So you have the confidence, if you're getting rep and warrant, it's also the data as well, which will extend the benefit and the confidence in the numbers that you're getting back. Last but not least, and this one won't be till Q4, but I think Mike and I think just about every other lender that works with Candor will be really excited about. We're going to be introducing a condition management capability where we're going to allow the lender to have full control of conditions, whether they're suppressed, whether the wording's changed, whether they're fired, internal, external. So there's a big focus on innovation for 2025. That's just the core capability. Our roadmap also includes VA URLs for this year and a fully reimagined UI and tools that push AI even deeper into things like QC, post-close workflows. Not saying these last parts are going to make it into the 2025 deployments, but that's
Yeah.
how we're building. Those are the technologies we're introducing, and that's the roadmap. And with our reimagined or re-implemented platform, we're able to move a lot quicker than we have been in the past. And so it's really this year, like I said, it's a big year for us. Q1 of 2026, I see us even stepping into different, even additional channels than where we are today.
Yeah, and the team has done an amazing job of getting the feedback from their lenders. I know that the team set out and they hold meetings with the operators. They hold meetings with the C-suite to see what their focus has been, and it's nice to see that you're able to provide more than just single solutions to lenders without them having to run out and get 27 different technologies to be able to solve a large chunk of the process.
Yeah, thank you, Jody, for bringing that up. And that is a critical piece. I mean, we all came from industry, but we listen and we try to do our best to listen. We're not perfect, but we do our best to listen and use that as input to prioritize and determine what is next and what direction we take going forward. And it's, to Mike's point, we believe the collaboration is absolutely necessary for our success and the lender success. And we couldn't do it without the partnership. I mean, I'm going to go back to a comment made earlier about prequal. I'd love to say that was some great internal idea from Candor, but that actually came from our lender community. The idea of taking our underwrite and moving it all the way forward came from the lender community, and we just simply enabled what they asked for.
Yeah, that is awesome. And if someone wants to learn more and dive deeper, of course, our members who are registered for the Boston conference can see you there. But how should anyone reach out to you if they want to speed up that process or are not attending? How should they get in touch with you?
Yeah, thank you again, Jody. For any current clients, obviously your Candor Client Success Team is a good starting point. But for anybody else looking for information, go to candortechnology.com or reach out directly to me. You can find me on LinkedIn. I believe my contact's also available through the partner channel with the TMC community. So look forward to having a conversation and seeing what Candor can do for you.
Um, Awesome. Well, unfortunately, that's a wrap. A huge thank you to Candor for powering this episode and to Ed and Mike for your insights. This is an area I could talk about the rest of the afternoon and into time for cocktails, but I guess that'll have to wait till next time. To our listeners, if you love the SIP, imagine 3 packed days of this energy and insights. The SIPs start early at conference and they continue into the night. TMC members get those Boston spots secured. And if you're not part of the TMC family yet, please reach out. I'd love to help plug you into the network. We'll be back next week, Tuesday, July the 15th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time here for our TMC Insiders and 3 p.m. Eastern Time live on LinkedIn or the broader industry. Until then, stay caffeinated, stay curious, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.
Thank you.